Music is an art that creates sound over visuals. Of course, both kinds of art can give feelings and be beautiful. And are hard. Honestly, creating a song is nothing like a picture. Let me paint you a picture. Instead of color theory, we do music theory. Instead of brushes and pencils, it's keys and staffs. Pen control? Nope. Tempo. There's also modes, but I don't know how to use them, and I don't know if I want to. We don't only have all this. No, we have hundreds of different instruments too, including our voices, which mine is a little raspy from probably overdoing it yesterday. Don't mind that. Now that I have some of what all goes into making music, let me show you how I made I Guess I Can't Do Love in 3 days. Minus vocals. I'm taking a break after attempting that again. So I technically did the song in 2.5 days, but I like to keep whole numbers. So this was my sister's idea. With Art Fight coming up, she was like, let's make a song I can animate using some of the cool characters we'll be drawing. And I was like, sure, what you got? She hands me lyrics she created titled, I Guess I Can't Do Love. Let me tell you, I guess she can't do verses. Well, it wasn't too bad. She really only had the chorus figured out, both words and tune. We'll come back to this later. Before I even tried to dissect the lyrics, there was one thing I had to put into the song. Riffs. If you don't know what riffs are, if you look at sheet music, the notes create this wave-like pattern. They can be small, they can be huge. I've decided to do just a simple octave. This means I go from, let's say, A to the next A up, so that's 8 notes, or an octave. Now that I have the riffs done, they sound like this. For the music people, I used 6/8 time and a tempo of 80. Now that the easy part is done, it's time to look at those verses. So apparently my sis just threw down some words for only the first verse, and I can tell. One section uses an AABB rhyming pattern, then the next used an ABBA pattern, which can be done, but the rhythm of the words was off, so it felt more clunky than purposeful. Which leads me to say that I have also failed in using the same rhyming pattern for this, but the rhythm is what made it sound fine. I think it's more on rhythm than on rhyme, in my opinion. So I started with the first stanza since it's the one I didn't want to change, as it kind of set the mood. I had spent like an hour walking in circles trying to come up with a tune for this. I also moved words around, deleted words, and changed words to finish the first half of verse 1. When I finally finished, I had to come up with the rest of the verses. My rule was to follow the same rhythm and rhyme the last word of each word with each and rhyme the last word of each half with each other. Yes. The rest sounded fine without going rhyme crazy. I actually only did the first verse on day 1, but at least I got a tune for the second verse the next day. Day 2 was me coming up with the rest of the lyrics, as my sis only had the chorus figured out and an assortment of words for the first verse, which I moved around quite a bit. There was even a little pre-chorus that she wrote that was almost as long as the verse was. I took some of it to make a shorter pre-chorus and shoved the rest to the back to become a bridge. Remember when I said that verse 1 took me almost an hour to do? Well, verse 2 took me longer because I had to come up with it all myself. It was easier since I had the tune and rhythm already, but I have trouble creating lyrics. So it was me trying to figure out what I would say and how I should say it. I'm honestly so glad that my sis wrote some words for me. This would have taken me so much longer if she didn't. Now that I had all the verses done, I put them into Flat, my notation app, and this is how it turned out. The next step was the chorus, and since my sis already had something in mind, I just went off of it. Again, the words were a little clunky. Not much needed to be changed, honestly. All I did was move around a stanza and made it have an actual rhyming pattern. Add that and add the riffs, and we have a decent chorus. Now, Flat is a notation app, not one for making orchestral masterpieces, so I have to take everything I just created and put them into GarageBand. I had the melody as a piano along with the riffs, and for the bass notes, I actually used a bass, and this is what it sounded like. Now we want this to sound more epic, so I did that by adding strings. This already makes the piece sound fuller. I basically just made the strings more bass notes. It wasn't that difficult. I actually changed the riffs from a piano to a glockenspiel to make it sound less harsh and more sparkly. I also added a drummer to make it more fun. Drums took it from slow and relaxed to more pop and bop. This sounded really great, but the song was missing something. Something that makes it so much better. Yep, it took me almost all of day 3 for me to figure out how to use one instrument. There are 2 instruments that I just can't seem to do, drums and guitar, and I spent so long trying to come up with an intro for this song. I don't know why, but lyrics and music intros are the hardest things for me to do, and a guitar has a unique sound that you have to work with in order to make it sound good. After much trial and error, I had finally created the perfect intro for the song. I also added it as a breather between the first chorus and the second verse. Now that a guitar was added, I noticed the song lacked a melodic harmony, so guess what I used to add that? For the final chorus, I added the intro portion with the guitar. I should also mention that I also added brass to the final chorus. I just copied the strings. Finally, the instruments were done. Now to add in the loud and soft portions to everything. After another hour or 2, I have completed the instrumental accompaniment. All that's left is the vocals. So that's how I created a song in 3 days. As mentioned, we're still working on the vocals, but we'll post the finished song once we do that. So maybe subscribe? Anyway, I'm going to end this video with a see you later, and here's the final instrumental that I spent 3 days working on. Enjoy!